All right, it is Wednesday, December 18th, 12:30 p.m. on the dot.
Woo!
Ross showed up on time today. Nah, just kidding. Very professional, man.
I got to wait for this guy. No.
For real.
How's my posture? I was a little worried about that last time. Check me out. Oh, yes.
You're looking
Let's
good.
Go.
I just had to check the camera. We're on YouTube now, folks. I'm using AI for Reels.
Dude, they look great.
I'm down to use AI for that.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, AI for marketing, like, let's go. What are we doing?
Yeah,
like,
silly not to. It's 2025 almost.
Well, I mean, there's a very obvious philosophical thing there when you're creating anything, whether it's a podcast or a painting or a movie or whatever. Like, if you're a writer, you don't want to use that shit. You know?
Yeah,
What's
agree.
the point?
You need some originality still. Big
If you're
time.
an English major especially, it's like my life duty to not use AI.
Could you imagine being a professor and trying to decipher like whether or not a student wrote this or if it was AI?
I think it'd be kind of easy.
You think it would be?
Yeah.
I think there would be moments, unless you're a smart student who's like sprinkling in a little AI, sprinkling in a little bit your thoughts of AI. It's kind of massaged in there, maybe a little tougher.
Yeah, and that's this. Yeah, the smart kids are doing that, but the smart kids aren't using it at all.
True.
I think that if I'm a teacher now, honestly, at any level, I'm getting rid of computers in the classroom. Period. So, if there's a writing assignment, here you have 60 minutes.
Yeah.
You're writing with a pen and paper in front of me. Like, that's the only way you can do it now.
Pass around a bin. Got to drop your phone in here.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even want to use laptops in the classroom.
Old school.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was in second grade.
You have to, though.
Dude, so I do some volunteering with the Chico Unified School District. I'm a math pal. It pairs like kids who are struggling with math with community-based volunteers. We meet for like an hour, 2 times a week, help them go through math. Mm-hmm. Yesterday we had like a holiday party, and all these kids are talking about the Rizzler and like all the latest like TikTok. That was good.
I mean,
years old, and I'm just thinking in the back of my mind like, crazy, the access to social media and what these kids know nowadays. It's wild.
No, they watch all that stuff more than they do films or, TV shows. Yeah, that's why we love the TikToks here on the pod.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a TikTok segment every week. Well, I mean, we'll see in a month from now what that situation is going to be.
Okay.
Feels like it's going to stick around. It's such a... let's not talk about that. Let's talk about sports.
Reel them in.
I was about to start talking about Congress and shit. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's right. The ban. Okay, I see where you're going.
All right. We're going into week 16. We had a good one last week. We had picks for the first time. Did you see the results for the picks?
I didn't take a picture. I don't even know how I did.
Oh, I got it. We'll get to that. You crushed me. Well,
that's good for me, and I guess I'm making up for a couple weeks ago when you crushed me.
We're only starting. We're doing basically the bit is the final month of picks, right? We're going to do 4 weeks of picks.
Okay, but let's just set the record straight. I think like 3 weeks ago I went 3-13. And I think you went 13-3.
No.
Yeah.
We'll talk about picks in a minute.
I didn't say that. Edit it out.
Let's get straight into the power rankings. Every week, I'm going to do a point differential power rankings. So it's purely based on point differential.
Okay, it.
We like to look at that. Also, every week we're going to do a quarterback ranking that is purely based off of QBR and passer rating.
Yes, we are.
To complex but different metrics. This is all stat-based, folks, all numbers-based. My opinion is not inserted into it whatsoever. That said, plenty of opinions will happen.
Yes.
Power rankings. Let's start at the bottom. First of all, Ross, long week. Any personal news you want to share from this week? How was your week?
It's been a good week. I ran my first official half marathon Sunday. Thank you.
You hobbled into the...
Yeah, well, it's a wild story.
Okay.
So... It was part of the Santa Hustle Race Series down in Roseville. Very festive, fun event. Roseville's about an hour and a half south of where we are. Mm-hmm. So I woke up early, 4:30 in the morning. Race started at 8. I needed to get down there, check in with the registration booth, get my bib. And the night before, I packed all my racing gear in a backpack and my running shoes next to my backpack. When I woke up in the morning, kind of in that morning haze, sort of like waking up still, put on some slippers, some PJs, stuff I was going to wear before and after the race, grabbed my backpack, forgot my running shoes. Didn't realize this until about 7 o'clock. Yeah, I'm that guy.
It's nightmare fuel.
Dude,
it's
7
a real
o'clock
life nightmare.
Yeah, panic mode, full on sets in when I go to get dressed. I'm like, what do I do? Like, I'm that guy who forgets his running shoes for his first official half marathon. Don't be like me.
Anyone who plays sports knows this nightmare fuel of forgetting something. It happened to me as a coach too once. Worst ever. But okay, keep going.
No. Oh yeah. Anyways, so I looked on my phone on maps. There was a Ross Dress for Less 1.3 miles away from the site.
Made for you specifically.
Yeah. And I lucked out because it's a holiday period. They were open. I went over there, swooped up some junky, clunky Reeboks, the best they had for $20, slapped those puppies on, got to the race at about 15 minutes before it started. No time to stretch, warm up. Here I got to go run 13.1 miles in some shoes I haven't worn in, and we're off. And I ended up running 8:22 per mile, finished 51st out of 432, which I'm real proud of. But my feet hurt, my shins hurt, and I'm still feeling the repercussions. Crazy.
Is that because the quality of the shoes wasn't up to par? You think that's why you're hurting? Or
yeah,
were you like kind of overcompensating for all the disaster, and then you just like push yourself like harder than you normally would?
Well, yes, and I think so. Like, there's an intensity when you're in a competition, right?
Yeah, true.
So I think that was part of why I was running maybe at a good pace. You're just kind of trying to push yourself in the heat of battle.
Because you're doing 9.5 minute miles when you run daily, no?
When I run daily, my highest is 7:11 for 7 miles. But that's when I really push myself. When I'm just like casually running, it's right around 8:39, 9:15. And I wanted to get, in the sevens. Like, that was like my goal going into this thing. I think I could have done that if I had my real running shoes. The thing about the Reeboks more than anything is they were heavy. They were kind of like an old school style shoe. Where like Hoka's nowadays and most running shoes are so light. They got just great cushion, but these Reeboks were a battle. And I was definitely like, feeling it in different parts of my legs the next day. I've never had shin soreness when I've been running over this past year.
Wow.
And it just so happened the next morning my left shin's like super sore, and now like my right foot's sore. So it's kind of funny.
Did you run again after that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got a run streak going of like 107 days, but
Run Ross Run.
But we'll see how long I can keep that going. I may need to take an injury break here. But we'll try and power through. So that was the big highlight of my weekend, man. It was fun. It was so festive and great atmosphere, and just I did it. Maybe we'll see what happens next in the running journey. But how was your weekend? I know it wasn't Butte football this weekend, but the weekend before.
Yeah. Did the sideline thing the weekend before that I just mentioned before the pod that we never talked about. That was awesome to be with Rigsby and all the Butte folks. Saw them take a dub. They weren't in the championship game, even though they were a one-loss team. So there was a lot of talk about that. Should they expand?
They should.
The playoff to 6 teams instead of 4, I think. So those were the conversations. Pretty nice win. There was an incredible leap over a safety by a tight end on a long score.
Sweet.
And I was recruited as a tight end to Butte back in '98.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it was neat to see the tight end do well. And Rigsby to this day is like, it's so awesome to hear him, like the kind of, I guess, faith he had in me back as a player back in the day. I didn't even expect him to really like remember me and know who I am. And there were other assistant coaches too, like, oh, Ahlswede. So that was cool. That always feels good.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
And I tell people like the one regret it maybe might have in life is not playing football at Butte, because they were recruiting me so heavily, and I was just like, I had a little lower back pain maybe. I was like, I've been playing since 6th grade. I'm ready to hang it up. Where's this gonna go, I guess? And then segueing into what I want to talk about with the Rodgers doc, Enigma.
Butte.
Then Rodgers and Garrett Cross come along. Garrett was bigger than me, but also a tight end. I had certain skills he didn't have, maybe. Great player, though, phenomenal player. And he was much more successful than me playing at Cal with Aaron. But I saw that like, oh, wait a second. I totally had a chance to move on in this game. And like I just didn't really understand that at the time. So segueing into Enigma, the new Aaron Rodgers doc, it's like a love letter to Chico Football. I mean, I'm going to get like emotional talking about it. And like, going to the game and then watching this doc and having all these kind of mutual friends of Aaron's from those times. And there were some, Rigsby's on the doc, the Meehan, Jordan, I forget his name.
Jeff Jordan.
Some other guys. Jordan Russell. Just friends of his, basically.
Okay.
Friends of my friends now, but I don't know them just, because I didn't know them back then. Certain people even we've dated. Like, there's all these kind of connections that I have to this guy, even though I've never met Aaron. And it was just like, it was emotional, man. Like, wow, this is like, I'm resonating with this so close. Like, it's hitting home in so many ways. And not to mention, like, we're pretty similar, like, mental, like, intellectually. Like, we kind of, and Garth has told me that quite a few times. So just a very personal documentary to me, it turns out. And
that's cool, because they don't, I mean, I haven't seen it yet. So, I mean, you're getting me excited to watch it even more. But from the promotional materials they did to push it, they don't really talk anything about his hometown. So that's interesting to me to see that, like, that's a big part of the story.
Huge part.
That gets me wanting to watch it even more.
You're going to love it. I mean, it's really, it's not about, like, Aaron and ayahuasca. It's about Aaron. It's just like a 3 hours. I don't know if there's going to be more episodes. It says there's 3 episodes now. That's just really detailing his story in narrative form. And so, we know his whole story, of course. But
it's a hell of a story, man.
It's really well done. And one of the things that stuck out to me that we talked about a few episodes ago was his kind of playoff journey and some like the heartbreak in the playoff.
Yeah.
Whew. The Brady 2020 COVID game where it's Rodgers, Brady on the Bucks.
Okay.
Remember, it was like 28-23. It was 31-23.
Yeah.
They're on the 7-yard line. Third down, Rodgers has this run to the right side.
Yeah.
It looked like an open path, the end zone, but he throws it, right? 4th down, they kick a field goal with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I remember this.
And, like, I was just, like, watching that, I was like, holy shit, Rodgers, Brady, COVID year. So there's nobody in the crowd still. It was that year. He goes off that year because, like, and they did a little thing about him, like, drawing people off sides because there's no crowd. So he, like, uses little advantages of right having guys. So, and he just, incredibly, this is when he, won 2 MVPs after they draft Jordan Love. Just, like, a really, even now, just a couple years later, looking back on that, like, wow, what a storybook kind of couple years there for him. And
they kicked a field goal.
It culminated with the Brady thing, and like, just, oh my God, like, he should have beat Brady.
Yeah, he should have had
That's
him.
the year that Brady won the Super Bowl. There's that. There's some other ones. Some of the Niners, the recent Niners game we talked about, that cold weather game too. There's just like these. It's just so freaking close to being like a 3-time Super Bowl champion, honestly. And
some of those games could have easily gone his way. He's always had incredible cadence at the line too. Even when there's people in the crowds and it's super loud, he can draw them off sides.
Yeah. So, suffice to say, I'm just back all in. I mean, I'm always supporting the guy, even though I don't know him personally. But I'm just like, I really, really root for this guy. Even now, I'm rooting for him for there to be another year, and I'm rooting for the Jets to win out. And I mean, they had a nice win, granted against Jacksonville, but I mean, I think he's throwing for 300 yards 2 weeks in a row now. So
him and Devontae seem to really be picking it up.
Yeah.
It looks like there is going to be another year, and it's so easy to root for him. I mean, a local legend.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, but for us around here, I think a lot of people in the Chico area, just it's hard not to be proud of him. It's hard not to be like, man, this guy came from here and went and did some amazing things and took a a long road to get there, involved with the JUCO level, and totally the pride of Butte. You know, it's just, what a story, man.
And his whole ayahuasca thing is like about self-love. So there's just that whole element too of like his persona and his public persona, and you know, he got so famous after the Super Bowl win, which kind of led him down this road of kind of like being, your star's shining a little too bright. You're gonna get some pushback, which we've seen now. Or just putting yourself out there too much.
Controversial.
But it made me really kind of, dude, it makes you sympathize with the guy. Like, oh, dude, I get you, or
a little bit more,
yeah, and like, it's just funny. He's like a sympathetic figure, big time.
Yeah. Well, but no one should be critiqued and judged for having opinions. I mean, you know, even if you disagree with them, like, ultimately at the end of the day, maybe they should be critiqued and judged, but it shouldn't be like the reason why you like or dislike somebody. You know, like, we all have differing opinions, man.
It's complicated.
It is.
It's complicated. That's for another pod, though, too.
You know, I back when I was working at Action News Now, I went digging into our archives one year and compiled all of his Pleasant Valley High School highlights and all of his Butte College highlights that we had, and smashed them together, like 8-9 minutes, like a compilation, threw it on YouTube. And like a couple years ago, it took off. And a whole bunch of people started like viewing it. And they've got, you know, like, you can see sort of a little bit of his development, you know, from the PV days to the Butte College days. You know, there's some Lions All-Star football game clips in there, like a lot of like interviews he did, some stuff with Rigsby. And, you know, there's like the old Almond Bowl battles of Chico versus PV, just like cool highlights and like archives of like Rodgers when he was young. Like, you know, if anybody's watching this, go check those out. You know, Chico, Pleasant Valley High School, Butte College, Aaron Rodgers. Search it on YouTube. You'll come across some sweet highlights of him doing his thing.
I need to put my game-winning touchdown against PV in the section semifinal.
Yeah, you do.
On YouTube. I was thinking about that too, because he came in. So it starts off like 1998, his first year of high school. That's the year I graduated. So it's like, and I'm sorry to make this kind of personal, but
no, it's fine.
So just like that bridge of like, you know, when we were playing PV in the section semifinal, like, he was definitely watching as an 8th grader in the crowd. So it's just like, oh, wait, he knows who I am. Little things like that I was thinking, like, of course he does. That I just never really thought about. And I don't know, maybe it sounds corny to say, but like, it feels good to just kind of, I guess, be a part of it, even if it's indirect. And you too, like, as a broadcast in this community. That just kind of, I guess, the Chico football family, you know, that's what it's all about. And that's, you know, whether, you know, coaching kids at Hamilton that are now playing in Butte or all that stuff. It's just, obviously it's going to make us emotional as it's kind of like the man's source of emotion, like sports and being a part of it and in your community. So
yeah, it's in your blood, man.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Okay, power ranking. I like to bring up the power ranking and then subvert it to a different topic for 10 minutes and then go back to the power ranking. Okay, let's start with
legit topic.
Let's start with the double-digit loss teams. I do like to cover the teams at the bottom first. Keep in mind, these are the teams that are going to have a high draft pick too, so that's relevant. That's important.
Definitely.
This bottom group I have from basically 26 to 32. Okay, we'll start at the bottom. Panthers, Raiders, Titans, Giants, Browns, Jags, and Patriots. These are all 11 or 12 loss teams. We're going to kind of group these teams in the same situation, I'd say. Patriots and Jags are the best two out of this group because of their quarterback situation, assuming that Lawrence is fine moving forward. Drake May looking good as well. I guess the only interesting thing to talk about with these teams is the draft pick. You know, we're seeing some kind of mocks with Shador and Hunter and the Boise State running back
Ashton Genty
might drop a little bit. He seems like an obvious pick for the Cowboys to me.
Ooh, I can see that.
Any draft thoughts? You know, Hunter just won the Heisman. We're looking at this group of teams here. I guess who do you expect to maybe bump up a little bit next year out of this group?
Yeah, good questions. You know, speaking of draft and where my mind goes when I look at this group is quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of situations occurring here. Drake May has shown some flashes of potential, definitely. What's the situation with Lawrence? He's a really high-paid quarterback. What does Jacksonville do if Shadur's on the board and they're drafting high? Cleveland's now going to go from Winston to Dorian Thompson this weekend.
Right.
So the Giants have had their troubles. Jones is no longer there. Will Levis is now hurt, right? The Raiders, what are they doing? They're trotting out Ritter. I mean, Bryce, I hope, I guess when I look at this group, I hope that, with how he's played lately for Carolina, that they take another step forward next year. And I'm excited to see what Drake May can do in year 2.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of intertwine the quarterback rankings with the team power rankings here.
Ooh, okay.
Drake May is tied for 18th. He's up there, dude.
Yeah, he's had a decent year.
I have 47 quarterbacks I include this week. I've been leaving out the kind of ones that played a couple games. As long as there's stats for him, I want to include it all so we can get a little better picture.
Okay.
It shows kind of how high May is up there. He's tied with Joe Flacco for 18th. Why Flacco has not been playing all year for the Colts is a mystery after watching Richardson last week closely, kind of for the first time. Maybe we'll talk a little more about that.
Did you see the pass that Drake May made when he was rolling left and he shoveled it at the end
against the Cardinals? No.
Oh yeah, more recently, yeah, it was an amazing play this weekend. He gained some brownie points with me for that one. It was sweet highlight.
So May, Bo Nix is tied for 27th with Andy Dalton. May performing better than Nix. No one would believe that if you just told them that, yeah. But it's true.
Interesting.
This Nix thing at 27 is so weird.
That is weird.
He dropped another 6 spots. I mean, I think he threw 1 or 2 picks this week.
Maybe it's completion percentage.
Something, I mean, what it tells us, because on the other hand, the Broncos are now, I have them as the 6th best team in the NFL, the 2nd best team in the AFC. That's in terms of point differential. So something's not adding up here. Obviously, they have a phenomenal defense.
Yeah.
Thanks to them in fantasy playoffs this week. What are you looking at here? I mean, because so many people are high on Nix.
Yeah,
he's
like
good
Nix
as Daniels. The stats are not matching up, but the Broncos are playing at an elite level. What do you make of that?
What I make of it is don't bet on them to go deep in the postseason.
Ooh.
That's what I make of that. If you've got a rookie quarterback and he's lower on these rankings, and you got a team that's doing real good in the win-loss record and ranked as high as they are in your rankings, it scares me to put a lot of faith in them in the postseason. But Bo's done some amazing things this year and showed some serious flashes of promise, even if he's a little lower on these rankings than expected.
Yeah, and the bottom line is he's the starting quarterback for a top 6 team, in according to this.
Yeah.
There is this, whole scenario about the Bengals making the playoffs and the Broncos have to lose out or the Chargers have to lose out. That's not going to happen. But would we be surprised if suddenly the Broncos started to look a little weak?
No.
These last 3 games? I don't know. Yeah, so those are the bottom barrel teams that we're getting at. That started with Drake May, that conversation. Next level, we have Cowboys, Falcons, Colts, Jets, Bears, and I'll go Dolphins in there too.
Okay.
So that's
fascinating.
20 to 25.
Oh, so fascinating.
The Bears and Jets both have 10 losses, but their point differential is still good. So that's a sign of the Bears were 4-2, about to be 5-2.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Jaden Daniels destroyed that team. Somebody is destroying that team, whether it was Rodgers with the Packers.
Yeah.
Now they have the Commander's curse.
A Hail Mary destroyed that team.
So they went on this insane losing streak where they were about to be 5-2. Their point differential is -3, same as the Jets. So those are the 2 teams where their record doesn't quite reflect the quality.
They're in games. They're competitive.
Colts and Falcons, only 7 lost teams that are beneath them in the power rank.
Dude, the Falcons are so fascinating right now.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the South for sure. Cowboys with 8 losses, wonky year, but I mentioned the Boise State guy. I mean, they kind of are just one good running back away from being a double-digit win team again, I think.
They've done a lot better than I thought. I didn't think they were going to put up any fight this week after officially kind of being out of the playoff contention. And, ever since Doc's gone down, Rush took a week or two to get going, and he's going, and they're not bad. I mean, they're playing competitive football.
Cooper Rush, number 34 in the quarterback rank. Dak Prescott, 31. Like, what? That's weird.
It is weird. He would have been a lot higher probably.
I mean, that's just going off of the games he played this year.
Yeah, he wasn't playing well. But
like, you don't get penalized for playing fewer games when it comes to these rankings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he was not playing that great, but he's definitely been higher up in years past.
While we're there, I want to talk about, because I included these kind of quarterbacks I hadn't included before. Caleb Williams is at 29, right? Speaking of the Bears. He was right in the same group with Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis. But now, or Levis. Is it Levis or Levis? Levis, okay. But now that I've included Mason Rudolph, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, Aiden O'Connell, Cooper Rush, Gardner Minshew, Tommy DeVito, Jacoby Brissett. Amazing quarterbacks this year. It shows that Bryce, Richardson, and Levis are worse than we thought they were this year.
Yeah.
Like, they suck this year.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say Levis and Richardson. And I would say Bryce, I mean, it feels like he's been better lately, but
well, we kind of forget just how bad the start was.
Like, okay.
Epically bad start.
Good point. Yeah.
And he didn't do great on Sunday.
No, he had a tough Sunday. He was hoping for a better Sunday. Yeah. Caleb's, I don't know about Caleb.
I guess it's neat to say, like, Caleb is in a different category than Bryce Richardson and Levis. To me, that's kind of clarifying in a way.
Slightly.
Sure. Caleb and Nix are like the same dude. What if Caleb was on the Broncos and Nix was on the Bears? Could we still have the same situation? I think so.
Maybe.
So, good food for thought.
Yeah. Bo seems to be more controlled. I mean, he seems to be just a little bit more polished. Maybe that's Peyton. Maybe it's the offense he's running.
Yeah.
Caleb's frenetic. Like, when you watch him, he's just like, so much is happening. Even against the Vikings on Monday, it was like, hey, just – and I get it. I don't know what it's like to be facing these 6'5", 300-pound linemen coming after you with, foaming at the mouth. But it seems like the game is really moving fast for Caleb.
Well, we forget the first 5 games a little bit. They were crushing.
Yeah.
I mean, they look great. They're hitting all the cylinders. They're scoring big. Like, that's why I had them in my, like, top kind of point differential rankings. Yeah,
they were pretty high. They were. Yeah, you're right.
So there's that. And then you look at, like, a 3-point loss to the Lions, a 3-point loss to the Vikings.
Tough.
Like,
a couple of last-second losses,
So Caleb is more legit. I know that, it's kind of easy. Once, we have the Daniels kind of comparison. So poetically was kind of decided in the Hail Mary game.
Yeah.
And then, just his flashiness versus Daniel's modesty, like we talked about last week.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of just easier to be like, oh, Caleb is a little weird. I don't know if I trust that guy.
Yeah, right. Well, you're the voice of reason right now. Thank you. Thank you for dropping the realness right there.
As long as it's based on stats, you know what I'm saying? Andy Dalton tied for 27th with Knicks. I just want to bring up the Dalton Flacco thing. Why weren't they playing all year? I think Panthers a little more understandable maybe, but the Colts thing is just I want to punch a wall because he was so good for the Browns last year, and then seeing who Richardson really is, like, Richardson doesn't have a future in the league. I'm sorry.
He said it. He said it. And I would say the reason Flacco isn't playing is because they want to develop. So they're, in a position where they wasted, but they took a high draft pick on a guy that they want to develop and give a real chance to step into that role. But you're probably right. I mean, they would have been better off as a franchise this year if they went to a guy who burst back onto the scene last year and did really well. And, look, he was given an opportunity this year. He played a couple games. He did okay, but, maybe they did pull the trigger a little too soon on Flacco and get Richardson back in there.
And I forget, I don't think Flacco got banged up. I didn't look at the Flacco games. I do need to go back and look
I think
at
he
those.
did. He was hurt.
So was Richardson too. Look, development can be as a backup when you're young. Like that's the whole Rodgers corollary.
So true.
And the Packers, Favre, Rodgers, Love, kind of 30 years of doing it this way. Like, look at Love now in the Packers. It's the same exact thing.
Teams should do more of that.
So,
why don't they do that?
And you got these veterans. We see now how veterans can kind of get more reliable and evolve, whether it's your Sam Darnolds now, who's a top 10 guy, or your Flaccos and Dalton. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. The Colts, and the thing is with the Colts, like the Colts aren't the Panthers. They're not the Giants. Like the Giants were like, fuck it, we're just gonna get the highest draft pick we can, get Jones out of here.
Yeah.
We're gonna play these guys like we want to lose, basically. Like,
sure,
technically kind of smart.
Tanking,
right? The Colts were right. The South was for the taking this year with the Texans and the other crap teams. So I think Flacco, if he plays all year, Colts win the South.
Okay.
That's my other hot take.
It's a good take. I could definitely see it coming to fruition. Houston really hasn't kind of – I mean, they're sort of – I don't – do you say a disrespected winning team? You know what I mean? Like they're not like –
yeah, well, they're going to host a freaking
they're not
home
great.
Playoff game, 4 seed in the AFC. They're going to host, either the Broncos, Steelers, Ravens, Chargers.
Somebody in there.
It's going to be either the Steelers or Ravens, actually. So whoever doesn't win the North is going to go into Houston. And they're going to crush them. They're going to be favorites.
Probably.
That said, Steelers are being disrespected with the point spreads lately. We'll check into that.
Or we saw what they really were this past weekend.
Well, they didn't have Pickens. And he's a big play guy. I mean, I think that legitimately hurt.
I'm sure it legitimately hurt, but they got rolled on. You know, you bring such a great point about like sitting and developing a young quarterback for a few years. Where my mind goes is like, how does that affect you financially? Like, there's so often like you have a situation where these quarterbacks are on a rookie deal, right, for 4 or 5 years. If they're like a high draft pick, they're getting paid pretty good. But if they play and they show flashes of brilliance, and they're up for an extension, and they've shown those flashes of brilliance, now you got to pay them big. But if you have a guy like Jordan Love sit for 4 years, and then he's up for an extension, and he hasn't really been given an opportunity to prove himself, does that help your team financially? Because then you don't necessarily have to. You would think so, right? Like, is that
Love got a huge contract?
Okay, am I missing something there then? Because he did, right?
But he played a full season. They beat the Cowboys big in the playoffs, and that's when he earned the money. So I believe that was he signed that this offseason, right? I think so. Yeah, that wasn't 2 years ago.
And you can't really pay a guy unless you've seen what he can do. But
it's that, is it 2, 3, 4? Because like
it's like 4.
Love
right?
sat 2, 3. Did he set 3?
I think he sat 3 or 4. Man, he's had 3. A long time.
And Rodgers sat 2 or 3. Interesting timing there. But basically your point is like it actually behooves you financially to also rest the guy,
right? And
then because it could be that said, what I think happens is that if they're good, even if they sit 3 years, they come in, they kill it that their first year, like Love, like Rodgers.
You got to pay him.
And so you pay him. So you probably are going to either way. But at least it opens up to where, like, you come in off the bench and you went 9-8. You look pretty good. Didn't make the playoffs. Like, you could save a little money there. If you
maybe you've got a little leverage from an ownership standpoint,
Yeah, man.
How high is Love's contract compared to like other? It's not like a massive contract.
It's pretty. No, it is.
It is.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's up in the 40 range.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's one of the highest paid.
Well, Daniel Jones set off this like Daniel Jones is getting $40 million.
Yeah.
You fucking better believe I'm worth fucking 50.
Yeah.
Fucking Giants.
I hope the Niners can get Purdy for like a similar contract that Baker has with the Bucs.
Oh, interesting. So
like
that applies to Purdy, even though he made a Super Bowl. So he earned his money there, but then this year they can save some money on it.
They got a little leverage right now, which may be the time to do it. And he's also Mr. Irrelevant, so I don't know how that much that factors into it, but it's like, I guess he's proven himself that really, won't factor in much to the
You can't hold that
negotiation.
against him.
You can, but when you look at what Sam Darnold's doing, in Minnesota,
Former Niner, by the way.
that's the point I'm making. He's a former Niner, and he was obviously a much higher touted prospect coming out of high school, coming out of college, went to the big program, got drafted high, So, yeah, maybe there's something the Niners can say that, we took a chance on you, Brock.
Darnold and Purdy
Yeah.
both need to be signed in the offseason. You're telling me the Niners don't go for Darnold now?
Well, I know, man. It's fascinating. I wonder those conversations between Lynch and Shanahan right now, watching Sam do what he's doing in Minnesota, if they're just like, gosh darn it.
It's so fascinating because we have the McCarthy factor. Like, I was just thinking about this. Like, does O'Connell's the name of their coach, right? Vikings?
Yes.
So
Kevin.
probably going to win Coach of the Year.
Oh, my gosh.
Probably.
I would hope so.
Now that the Steelers have flattened off a little bit, too. I think Tomlin's kind of out of that.
Yeah.
So unless we go with the Eagles guy.
Sirianni, could get it.
I think it's going to be the Vikings guy.
Kevin O'Connell, yes, I think so. You're right. Agree.
Is O'Connell like, we're winning because of me, and I can plug in a McCarthy and we'll perform the same, and kind of not giving Darnold the credit he deserves? Maybe teasing the Put Some Respect on My Name award this week.
Interesting.
And so, because it kind of like the talks are like, hey, if Sam gets a good contract somewhere else, a big contract, we'll be happy for him. They're kind of like not tripping on Sam Darnold when they are 12-2.
Yeah.
And they're about to be the 1 seed in the NFC probably. And they're just not putting respect on Sam Darnold's name. Put some respect on Darnold's name.
What happens if he goes somewhere else and ends up struggling where he signs a big deal to, and McCarthy comes in and just handles business?
Then
Kevin O'Connell is like coach of the decade.
That's what they're talking about, I'm sure, in the front office there.
Yeah, they're in a conundrum.
Love the offseason. Sorry, I'm banging doors over here. Some fun offseason quarterback stuff.
Yeah, and can I just speak a little bit about how fascinating it is that the Falcons are where they are, fresh off a victory, and Cousins is benched, and it's Michael Penix time.
That's so cool.
It's so cool.
So cool.
It's so cool.
Cousins is tied for 23rd with Geno Smith. They both bumped down 4 spots. They're just inextricably linked, Geno and Kirk.
I can't believe Atlanta's in playoff contention too, and they're going with the rook.
They are, but
when does that ever happen?
Tom Brady with the Patriots.
Well, that was because of injury.
True. When was someone benched?
Yeah, it's rare. I mean, I'm sure there's been a case here or there, but it's pretty rare. And what if Penix lights it up and just sets the world on fire? He might.
Very exciting final three weeks.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got a cannon.
All this excitement we're talking about, let's not forget, we are in prime football. This pocket of this month, the final month of the regular season.
Cheers,
fucking
man.
Best.
Let's go.
Let's realize that, because we only get it 1/12 of the year. This is it. We're in it. And then playoffs, this is prime football time.
Season of giving, and football's giving.
I mean, the Bucks, I have them now. They bumped up 3 spots. They are the number 9 team in the NFL. Falcons are tied for 23. This is point differential, but they're a game up in the win column. The Falcons beat them twice, though.
Yeah.
They have the tiebreaker. The Bucks look incredible right now, crushing the Chargers like that. But it's still wide open.
Yeah.
So's the NFC West, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Let's take a quick break.
Pew, 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 pew. Quarterbacks.
Let's get back to the power rank. Not much to say about the Dolphins, except that Tua is still number 11 overall, which is a little surprising.
Not bad. He's not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, some people think he's horrific now.
Disagree.
Yeah. He's above Brock Purdy and Baker, tied for 13. Tua's above Russell Wilson at 15, Mahomes at 16, Herbert at 17. That Wilson, Mahomes, Herbert, or more specifically the Mahomes-Herbert rankings, just super middle of the pack, a little weird. Both, those similar teams, the Chargers and Chiefs, it's like their defenses kind of carry them. Yeah. Their offenses, even though they have star quarterbacks, just look a little blah. Interesting there. Tua is still statistically above those dudes. Dolphins, they're pretty much out of the playoff
Tough
hunt.
loss at Houston.
Yeah, they needed that one.
That was a tough one.
Let's get to the next echelon of teams. Let's go with. Where are we going to cut this off? We'll take it all the way to. Well, we have Rams -2 point differential. That's odd. They've had some shitty losses, I guess.
Yeah, early in the season they were struggling.
Yeah, so the Rams are probably, if I were to choose a team on this list that doesn't really make sense, it's probably them at 19.
Yeah, to me they are scary right now.
Right, and then we look at this NFC West. So it goes Cardinals at 15, Seahawks at 16, then we got the Saints still at 17, and Niners at 18. So they're all grouped right there with these really kind of median point differentials. And that's how it's been all season. They're just, I know I've said it plenty of times, but just the medianness of the NFC West is really interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I would say that the Cardinals, Seahawks, and Rams are in much better position right now than the Niners.
Yeah, so technically, and if we look at the point differential playoffs, last week I ignored conference championships. This year I included that. But still just on point differential. Okay. So the Cardinals would technically be the 4 seed, right? They have the best point differential in the NFC West.
In this formula.
Look, okay. In one sense, I feel like an idiot because I was like, the Cardinals are done last week. Like, horrible team. But we also at the same time said, this is the most unpredictable team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Then this week, I have Connor. Again, I'm talking about fantasy playoffs. Normally, I'm talking about fantasy.
He's a beast.
So I'm just watching it closely, and I'm like, I love this team. Kyler is, he's a top 10 quarterback. He's tied for 9 with Stafford. They're only a game out. The Rams are vulnerable. I mean, they beat the Niners in a really kind of nightmarish game for the Niners, only 12-6. I'm just this whole division, I guess, is just so wonky and unpredictable.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the Cardinals. I'm rooting for Kyler. It'd be really cool for the Cardinals to suddenly host a playoff game this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have came out of nowhere, and it would be fascinating for them.
And I think they have a good coach, and yeah.
Yeah, well, and they get Carolina this week on the road. Then next week they, are on the road against the Rams, and then they host the Niners.
Okay, so that week 17 game now. So Rams, Cardinals.
Yep.
And I think the Rams, do you mind pulling up who they play? The Rams, do they have a tough game next week?
They're on the road against the Jets, which is interesting.
Frisky.
Cross country, frisky. Then they get the Cardinals. Then the next week they host Seattle.
Also, okay, this is the best.
No one knows what's going to happen.
Division games end of the year. Obviously, they schedule these on purpose to division opponents at the end of the year, so we have these awesome scenarios. We're basically getting playoff games
right
a
now,
week or two early. So Cardinals beat the Panthers. Okay. The Rams lose to the Jets.
Could happen.
Definitely. I have the Jets right beneath them. Jets are 21, Rams are 19 in the power ranking. Now we're tied up. Oh, the Cardinals crushed the Rams when they played them this year. It was like 41-10.
Yeah.
Different team.
Yeah.
But still,
yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. I like the Cardinals to take this.
I could see that. I see where you're coming from there.
We got that week 7. I'm going to love that week 17 game, Cardinals.
So it's going to be funny when Seattle wins the division.
Yeah, who knows? But it's fun. So that's our middle of the pack teams. Basically, we have Rams, Niners, Saints are still in there. They only lost to the Commanders by 1. They're frisky somehow. I don't know something's in the water in New Orleans. Like the record sucks, but
yeah, that halftime quarterback change proved to help them a little bit.
Not great for us.
You survived. Thank goodness they went for 2, huh?
The feelings of I was ready for us to lose that game, and just like the gut punch I feel this year.
That would have been a gut punch.
When the expectations are high, it's like the losses hurt like so much more.
Especially to teams you should pound.
Exactly. So look, we're up 7. We're favored 7.5. I took us 7.5. McLaurin had like literally 3 bombs that were like an inch too far.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Like Jaden and Terry had 2 touchdowns.
He still had 2 tuds.
It should have. It just got me thinking. Like Jaden's got a strong arm. It's like these are these inches on like deep throws, or like that's what can take a year or 2 of development sometimes with the same players.
Sure.
But yeah, we blew. Weird game. The fact we almost lost it was terrifying. We look like a 7 seed for sure, and we haven't won a playoff game since 2005, the biggest drought in the NFC. I didn't look at the whole NFL, but like by a mile, the biggest drought in the NFC. We're gonna have to go into Philadelphia. We play them this week. I don't feel good about that at all, obviously. That said, historically, we have played them well even when we've been bad and they've been good. So I'm hopeful. I'm holding out hope. And, even if we lose this week, we get them a third time. It's that kind of ironically giving us an advantage. It's hard to lose
super hard
to
to
the
beat
same
a team.
team.
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times. So some interesting narratives there. We got Hurts as the number 5 quarterback. Jaden is the number 6. So they're kind of like they're similar dudes skill wise. So anyways, we could go into Philly. Philly still could get the 1 seed. So there's a chance we go into Detroit or Minnesota. But those are basically our 3 options. Bucks are not going to climb up. Obviously, the West team's not going to climb up. So we're either going into Minnesota, Detroit, or Philly. I guess the question is, which one would I feel best about? Detroit has like 19 injured players on defense.
They are.
16?
This was a huge week for them injury-wise. They lose Montgomery, and they now have like 7 of their opening day defensive starters now out.
And I don't know what the prospect of that is 3 weeks from now, how healthy they're going to be. I don't know the nature of the injuries.
A good majority of them are like season enders. So, but maybe some will come back.
I kind of want to go into Detroit.
Yeah. Oh,
just have a shootout, a Goff-Daniel shootout in a dome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could see that.
Our defense is our weakness, but guess what? So is Detroit's.
Yeah,
so
true.
Vikings are just a little too solid, and the Eagles are just terrifying. So
yeah. We saw. I mean, I'm so impressed with Philadelphia, and I'm so impressed with Buffalo this week. I mean, Buffalo smacking around the lines early, and look, Detroit came back, scored a lot of points, but Buffalo owned that game from the opening kick, and then Philly just handling Pittsburgh was like, okay, these are some dogs right now.
Jalen's got some swag. I mean, he's played in a Super Bowl already.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an elite guy, just like Goff has played in Super Bowls. Goff is an elite guy.
Yeah, I felt like Sirianni's coaching was phenomenal too. Just the way they coached that game was impressive. You rarely kind of see Tomlin just sort of standing on the sidelines like, shoot, I got kind of owned a little bit tonight.
Yeah. I mentioned Hurts at 5, Goff 4. Let's get into our top 4 quarterbacks. Pretty consistent now. We got Lamar 1, Burrow 2, Allen still 3, Goff 4. A lot of people would put Allen at number 1 at the moment.
Yeah, MVP.
We're kind of, we're getting MVP fatigue with Lamar, but when you look at his numbers, I mean, he's having an MVP season.
Oh, yeah, he threw for 5 touchdowns and was overshadowed by Allen's performance again. It's
Goff
crazy.
Threw for 5 as well.
That's true.
So I think this is our Mount Rushmore that's locked in. Lamar, Burrow, Allen, Goff.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone else would have Mahomes in there.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, my guy.
Yeah, no, I mean,
16, baby.
Yeah. And a hobbled Mahomes at that.
Yeah. What if we just have the blinders on the Chiefs and Mahomes this year? Like, what if we have the blinders on Mahomes?
Yeah.
It's like he's just set up to be like better than Brady, gonna win 8 Super Bowls. What if he doesn't? What if he just never wins a Super Bowl again?
It'd be amazing.
What if he's not that good?
Yeah. I mean, this is the season to debate that because, he hasn't had his typical, monster statistical year. So I could get why there's some feelings like that.
What if he's Justin Herbert? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're super talented, dude. We get it, but you're not. There are a lot of quarterbacks better than you. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to see him with Hollywood Brown. I want to see him with a little bit more weapons on the outside. I think, what's fascinating is like the fall off of Travis Kelce this year. I mean, he's like statistically.
Well, he's old.
He's a little older, but I wonder how defenses are, playing them, if they're really focusing on like, okay, dude, no Rashee Rice. We're just going to take Mahomes away, take Kelce away, see what you can do now.
Great point. Because an elite Kelce is what made the Chiefs elite or unstoppable. When you got Kelce catching for 8, 130, and 2, you can't beat him. But now that he's not, and they're squeaking out wins just because they're used to winning.
Yeah.
But how sustainable is this? I mean, obviously they can add weapons in the offseason, and people still think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I like the betting against the Chiefs in the playoffs, and that's definitely been mentioned by many. Not that people should listen to my picks, but
I think it's Rashee Rice is the one that really hurts them this year, because him and Mahomes were going off the first few weeks of the season, and Rice was commanding some attention, and I think that opened up the field for Mahomes. But still, you're right. I mean, he hasn't had that great of a year, and as a fan of a team that's been defeated by him twice in the Super Bowl, I would not be upset if he never won another Super Bowl again.
Yeah. I really don't like him. Hopefully I'll be celebrating here in a few weeks. Okay, I think we're pretty good on our power rankings. Any final observations from you, Ross, here? We got, Bengals are number 14 teams. There are 14 teams that make the playoffs. So according to this, they are a top 14 team. Burrow, second best quarterback in the league. That's interesting. Anything else stand out to you?
Just that the Packers are fifth. I think that's interesting to me.
3 North teams in the
three
top
North
5.
Teams in the top 5 is fascinating, and the fact that the Packers are that high is like, ooh, okay. Maybe people are sleeping on them a little bit because the NFC North is so competitive and so good. But how funny would it be if Green Bay goes deeper in the playoffs than the Lions and the Vikings? It could happen.
The Packers are going to be the 6th seed. It's pretty locked in because either the Lions or Vikings are going to take that 5 seed. So they're going to go into Tampa unless somehow the Rams or Seahawks end up having a better record than Tampa. Right? It's possible.
But those are still winnable games for Green Bay to go to the Rams or to go to Seattle.
They're going to win that first game.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, they probably will.
Tampa, I do like Tampa, though.
I like Tampa, too. Now Evans is back, and Baker's just dotting it up.
Yeah, we mentioned how awesome the NFC playoffs are going to be, but let's go. You got a little time? It's 1:24?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. Packers, so love going into Tampa to play Baker. Great game. We have, Commanders are going into the Eagles probably for the 3rd time. Phenomenal. And then we have either the Vikings or Lions going into LA or Arizona. We're going to have, that 5 and 6 seed in the NFC are most likely going to win that first round.
Definitely could happen.
Okay.
Definitely. Road games. Road teams.
Yeah, we like that. All right, Media Darlings. Let's move on to our Media Darling segment of the week. I don't know if you've put some deep thought into this yet. I'll start with mine.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here. I'm going to go NBA.
Okay.
Shout out to the NBA. We're not really talking about the NBA. NBA.
Yeah.
In flux. It's a big topic right now.
Yeah, the NBA Cup's awesome.
NBA Cup, this is when I think I now officially – in the past, it was like start paying attention to the NBA and Christmas, and it's a week from Christmas.
Yeah.
You got the big Christmas Day slate of games. NBA Cup finals officially when I'm going to start to kind of pay attention.
Okay.
Giannis, the Bucks had a horrible start with Doc Rivers, and everybody's like, bad hire, blah blah blah. Dame isn't really a winner, like bad, getting rid of Holiday for Dame, like stupid. Holiday wins a championship with the Celtics. That said, the Bucks look great now.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm really rooting for that team. My media darling of the week is Giannis.
Good one.
And this media darling thing for me, Ross, is like, it's not just like who played the best, it's who's getting the most love on the internet, essentially.
Okay.
And usually comes through TikTok videos, but like Giannis being like, we got this $500,000 bonus for this 12 man so we can buy his mom a house.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting fucking chills saying, like, what, like, it's the best thing ever. Giannis is really like, a couple slow years because we expect him to be a champion and MVP.
Yeah.
And Jokic is kind of taking his shine, but we forget how great of a guy Giannis is.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jokic is a fucking dud personality. Like, I hate that guy's personality.
He's funny, bro. I
So
like him.
we'll talk more about this, but the Giannis Jokic thing is really kind of the MVP race. We have Embiid in there too, but he's kind of gone now. So Giannis, man, winning the cup for his 12 man to buy his mom a house makes him the media darling of the week.
I have no qualms with that. Oh, I love Giannis, man. I was hoping that he would continue to struggle. So, I mean, what was discussed earlier in the season was the rumors started swirling that perhaps he would want out of Milwaukee if they weren't going to be in contention.
Go to the Warriors.
And there's a prime destination in the North Bay area which had Giannis's name written all over.
He would look way better in purple and black, dude. Way better. I can actually see that.
Oh.
Anything? Again, we're still getting used to our format here. Do you have any media guys that came across your screen this week?
I can think of one just off the top, and that's Allen in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. The guy's he seems to be in a really good place on and off the field. Recently got engaged. He's just I think that an actor, Haley Steinfeld.
Oh yeah, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she is.
I'm
pretty
20
lady.
years older than her, but she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's very pretty, and she's got a big following. Is very popular amongst younger people, but I mean, I don't know, dude. He's a monster out there on the field. Like, he's so big and strong and physical, and it's just impressive to watch him play and do his thing. And they handle business against Detroit, and then he comes on the post-game presser, and it's just he's saying the right things, he's carrying himself the right way, and I think you might be seeing somebody that's going to win an MVP this year and potentially lead Buffalo to a Super Bowl, which would be incredible because I grew up in a day of age when they went every year for a while and lost, and that team, that franchise, those fans, they deserve one. Maybe this is the year for Buffalo. That'd be cool.
100%. And it is shaping up to be the year. The Ravens are a little weak. Chiefs are, despite their record, are a little weak.
And already lost to Buffalo.
Right. I think that's a great pick. I'm 100% there with you. And the guy, in terms of like his personality, like, is he a rocket scientist?
Yeah.
No. He's kind of a small town. I think he's from Wyoming or something.
No, he's from what's the name? Fireball in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like a South Bay guy.
Produces all the GOAT quarterbacks. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now we got Jaden. I mean, it's just, we're the best, California. Speaking of Rodgers, I love that to death. I mean, Taylor and Kelsey eat your heart out. It's Haley and Josh, baby. But yeah, in terms of his personality, like we talked about marketability last week.
Yeah.
I was kind of tongue in cheek with my picks, like putting Jameis and stuff in there. Like, in reality, yes, I understand. The Super Bowl winners are the most marketable guys. I know.
Sure.
That. I was more going off like who are my favorite personalities, and
which I liked. They were good ones.
But Josh's personality, it's not.
You're right.
Amazing, but his story, and this small town like Rodgers. I don't think he got any offers out of high school. And he played in Wyoming, I believe.
Yes, he went to college there, yes.
Super small, just small town all around. Now, I don't know about where he grew up in California, but like, people do like that a lot. Like, he's just, hard-working, badass, not going to be too complicated with what he says and just get after it. And I think the public does appreciate that quite a bit.
Definitely, dude. Bring your hard hat. Bring your lunch pail. Get to work.
He can get a Lowe's brand offer.
Oh, dude, yes. I'm sure Lowe's is kicking themselves for not using them right now.
I am, with that was a little bit of an inside joke there. With Rodgers' whole State Farm campaign was so huge.
That's right.
But like, he kind of did have to find what is his brand, because his personality's okay, but he's also like he might be a little stiff and awkward, at least when he was kind of introduced to the scene back then for commercial purposes.
Yeah, but you know what helped him get there? Winning a Super Bowl. Right. So what if Allen wins a Super Bowl?
He's going to step it up, and I mean, if he does, I mean, he's going to step it up with his brand deals.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
big time. And you're going to see him, if not literally in State Farm commercials, in something of that
the next
caliber.
Spokesperson.
Yeah. So great pick.
Thanks,
needed, darling. Put some respect on his name. Award of the week. I mentioned Darnold.
Good one.
I almost kind of forget who we mentioned with this last week. I think, who did I go with? Oh, I think I started with Carr.
You might have started with Carr.
I think I mentioned Goff as kind of an honorable mention.
I think I went Stafford.
Yeah.
Which is still good.
I'll go Darnold this week because of this whole, like, should the Vikings re-sign him or not? Like, fuck yes, they should. Like, put some respect on his name. He's the reason you're fucking winning, dude. Yeah. Sorry. You got a guy?
I like it. I'm gonna go Hurts this week.
Ooh, love that.
Just because, man, I mean, what they did, handling business, winning the Battle of Pennsylvania. And there's been some rumblings and grumblings that his wide receiver isn't happy, and that they're kind of having a little battle. But man, he's just stoic. He just handles business. He's quiet. He's kind of like super confident. And
his mentality is incredible.
I respect it.
He cares about winning in the game. I mean, everybody does, but like his level of mental investment into it just seems even a slight tick higher than most.
Yeah,
it's like everything. It's literally like his whole mission in life.
Yeah,
which is what you want out of him.
He'll squat like 800 pounds.
And Hurts has been dealing with put respect to my name since college and the Tua thing. Like,
yeah, true.
So he's always had that.
He's got a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, he really does.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. The one thing I'm a little slightly concerned about is just like the long-term damage on having to do the tush push over and over and over and over and over again.
Wait, are you serious or is that a joke?
It's a joke, but it's also kind of serious. Like, that guy's got to be taking some serious heat on those plays. Like, head just trauma, just banging up in the middle of the pile all the time. Like,
the long-term damage of the tush push, a lot of jokes could go that direction. Look, are there some kind of gay porn crossover phrases in the NFL? Yes, there definitely are. There's plenty. I think there's a Collinsworth clip about, or there's some clip about that where it's like penetration. Like, there's a lot of phrases.
Or like all these. There's like commercials where or like social media clips of like, what's it like to be a girlfriend watching football? And then like Collinsworth will be like, crams it right up the middle or pounds it, and then like the look on the expression of these ladies' faces.
Just sexual.
Yeah, just sexual in general. It's funny. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that. Some great.
I like your picks too, man. That's good stuff.
On his name award. Do you mind if we take one more quick break and then we'll get to week 16 picks?
No, not at all. Let's do it.
All right. Week 16 picks. First, how do we do in week 15, Ross?
How'd we do in week 15? Looks like we did okay.
Oh, did we? I don't think you could say we.
Okay, 10-6, 6-10.
I went 6-10 against the spread. Great job by you. 10-6.
All luck.
I was looking at it. I picked like all those bottom barrel teams. I picked with the points. Like the Browns.
Well, it works out like that some
Giants.
Weeks, man. There's close games some weeks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've never been a gambler because
it's hard, dude.
I think that I gotta learn. Like, I do that often. Like, if I actually make picks, I'll lose huge, and I think it's because like in my brain I'm flipping upside down where it's like I know this team is not going to win, and I really want them to. Anyways, my point is I'm just gonna go against that like what my feeling is
Go
every
against your
time,
gut.
and I think I'm gonna crush. We're about to do it now, baby.
Did I tell you that my older brother once told me that if you're ever going to bet on sports, make sure to bet on the WNBA because those games go like totally to a T of how the spread is and how the favorite is and like how the over-under is. And he was like, you can win legitimately playing the WNBA. And that was one of the moments I was like, okay, I'm never gambling ever again if you just made that suggestion.
When did he tell? Was this like years ago?
Oh, yeah. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was on a bachelor party in Reno, and everyone was like going to gamble some sports, and like I know my brother like dabbled into it a little bit, so I just hit him up for some advice, and he was like, "What's the WNBA game slate today?"
Dude, I cannot wait to when we start talking about the NBA to talk about the WNBA.
Dude, it's
as
coming
well.
up now.
So with the NBA kind of in flux and the WNBA on the rise, it's like
Nobody's watching NBA basketball.
getting to this point where the WNBA is as popular. It's fascinating. Yeah, I don't know if those. I'm assuming that gambling predictability doesn't apply anymore. I think
you're
it's
probably right. It's probably harder
now that the league's leveling up.
The league's more competitive. The brand of basketball is a lot better. Really shown some signs of improvement. Great shooters, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, shoot it down.
Thursday.
Week 16 odds here.
I'll go. Since you read the picks last week, I'll do the honors.
Yes, sir.
Or read the teams last week. I'll do the honors this week.
Okay.
Thursday game, we have the Broncos at the Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 2.5.
It's interesting.
At home.
After struggling the last couple of weeks, right?
What do you think?
I think the Chargers are going to win 24-17. I'm just bypassing the lines, and I'm going right to predictability with the score.
So you're taking
So
Chargers.
that means I'm taking the Chargers.
These are the two teams that if one of them loses out, it paves the way for Cincinnati if they can win out.
Can I just throw one more nugget of information? I would not take the Chargers if they were on the road. I think the fact that they are at home gives them a little bit of an advantage.
Broncos in L.A. Bo Nix, not as good as we think. These are the two defenses that. Oh fuck. So who do I? I'm gonna go Denver plus 2.5 on this one. I'll take Denver. Saturday games. We have 2 Saturday games.
Good stuff.
We
Love
have
Saturday football.
We're getting in that time of the year where games are spread throughout the week now. I think we've got the Wednesday Christmas game next week.
Yeah, love it.
Week from today.
Give me all the football all the time.
Houston at KC.
Interesting game.
KC favored by 3.
I know, it's interesting.
Because Mahomes is most definitely not playing because they have a Wednesday game. So this is obviously the week for him to rest so he can play that Christmas game, which is a Netflix game, I think. So there's no way in the world that he can miss that with Netflix's like kind of premier NFL Christmas game.
Yeah, screw your health.
Do we know
because it's a Netflix game?
Topic for another pod though. That's
according to Fantasy Football Yahoo, Mahomes is going to give it a go.
Really?
Yeah, but they've been wrong before, and maybe they're just throwing us all for a loop.
It's Wednesday. The Chiefs are only favored by 3.
I really like your call though that people forget that they're playing the following Wednesday. So I think your reasoning is on point. I could see them sitting them this week. It makes so much sense to me.
The line is showing that. I don't think that Vegas is giving the Texans this much respect if Mahomes is starting.
Yeah, although we know Kansas City plays so many close games.
Well, that didn't work out for me last week against the Browns.
Yeah. It was still relatively close though. Wasn't it?
No.
What was the final?
21-7.
21-7? Yeah,
14
well,
points.
Okay, all right. Well, the Browns are driving. Yeah, you're right.
Jameis just hucks the fucking ball.
Yeah, he does, dude.
I'm thinking of backing out on Jameis a little bit after watching last week.
He's done this his whole career.
I know. What do you got? Houston plus 3.
I'm saying
in KC.
I'm saying the Chiefs are going to win 23-17. And you know why I'm saying that? Because I just love their defense. Yeah. Like, even if Wentz is under center, they just, dude, that's what they did to Cleveland this week. And it's like, oh yeah, this is how they've been winning all season long. This is why Mahomes doesn't have to be a statistic monster this season. They're just relying on their defense. Their defense is good, and they're getting better, and that scares me. They have totally fooled us into thinking they're not going to be a force to be reckoned with in the postseason, and it drives me nuts.
No, everybody thinks they're a force to be reckoned with in the postseason.
Well, I don't know. They haven't got the So I think I'll take the Chiefs, and I think it's the defense that gets it done.
So since my gut's telling me Houston +3, I'm going to go KC, but if Wentz starts, that's a joke. I don't want to take the Chiefs. Okay, whatever. Because it's in flux, I'm going Houston.
Cool.
You're going KC?
Yep.
-3? Okay. Next Saturday game, Steelers at Ravens. Fucking great games.
Dude, this is crazy line.
-6.5 Baltimore. What?
Isn't that crazy?
I need to get better at knowing the injury status of players. I still don't know if Pickens is playing or not. To me, that really, really matters because we saw, the success of the Steelers with Russ is he's just throwing that lob ball to Pickens. Like that would get them multiple big plays a week.
I guess maybe I don't realize that as much as you're saying, yeah, and as you mentioned, you're probably right there.
Ravens -6.5.
He didn't practice yesterday, or what wasn't at the walkthrough
really?
or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but who knows?
What do you got?
Well, it's an enormous game in the AFC North.
Yeah.
The Ravens lost to Pittsburgh earlier this year. It's so hard to bet Baltimore when they play Pittsburgh because Lamar just struggles against the Steelers, has his whole entire career. Steelers are fresh off a tough loss against Philly. You'd think that this would be a bounce-back game. With all that being said, even though it's a 6.5 spread, I'm taking Baltimore. I think this is a game for them.
Yeah. This whole gut thing is kind of going to drive me crazy. Fuck it. I can't go against my gut. So just like the Ravens and Bengals had two very close games, these North teams, I don't see. 6.5 is just too much for me. Too rich for my blood. This is going to be a close game. The Steelers beat them by 2. I'm fine if the Ravens beat them by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.5. It's just weird when Vegas does this. It's like they know something that we don't. Like with that 5.5 spread that the Eagles covered last week. I'm going Steelers. So we all of our picks we got all opposite picks so far.
The interesting element to that spread is how much of it is based on TJ Watt's ankle injury.
Oh shit.
Because
he's out too.
I don't know if he's out though. They're saying he's going to play.
Okay.
But that could just be them being coy. He left the last game.
Yeah.
And when he's not there, obviously their pass rush isn't the same. So maybe that's why that spread is 6.5.
You really do need to lock in injury knowledge when you make picks, don't you? I got to get better at that.
No, well, it's Wednesday. You can't even we don't even know. That's why teams don't disclose this information until Baltimore's not going to know TJ Watt isn't playing until literally 5 minutes before kickoff.
Right. So any kind of intuition you have on injury statuses, if you're making picks on Wednesday, is really helpful.
Yeah.
If you think you know one way or the other. Like if you're pretty sure Mahomes isn't going to play, etc., stuff like that.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to the line over the course of the rest of the week because come Sunday, it could very well be 4.5. You know what I'm saying? And if it gets closer, then that just means Vegas is going, TJ Watt's going to play.
And then I get 2 extra points.
Damn it.
Bengals hosting the Browns -7.5 against your boy. I don't know with that Bengals defense. They beat the Titans by 10, but Titans still in with a backup quarterback. I don't know. I didn't see that game. I don't know when he came in, but the Bengals got kind of a touchdown late. They're only up by 3 against a weak team that the Commanders crushed. What do you think? Bengals 7.5
in the Battle of Ohio. Burrow's going off, and the fact that Cleveland's now changing quarterbacks and going to Dorian Thompson. What's his? It's a hyphen last name. Am I missing the second?
Green Thompson.
Yeah, something like that. And my apologies. I should know this.
In a year where there are 60 quarterbacks playing, I'm totally fine with not knowing who these fucking guys are.
That's the kind of stuff that grinds my gears. I should know that. Details. Details field. Because of that, I'm going. I don't like the quarterback change. I think it's going to inhibit Cleveland significantly and maybe give a little bit of an advantage to a Cincinnati defense that has struggled, as you mentioned. I think it's going to be a blowout, and I could see Cincy winning 38-17, 38-10 even.
I mean, they are fighting for their lives, so the energy is going to be high with Cincinnati. They have the second best quarterback in the NFL. Love that guy. 7.5 is a lot. I guess I'll go with them. God, dude, it's so hard.
Jamar's going off. Jamar's going to get like 150, 170, and like 2 touchdowns. Take a couple deep to the house. Like, it's going to be a bloodbath.
By the way, next week we will do a receiver power ranking for the first time. Just want to kind of wait till the end of the year to get a really comprehensive.
All right, 1 through 5. Chase. Inch.
Okay, we both had Cincinnati there. Carolina hosting Arizona. Arizona on this kind of cake run here that they needed. Patriots now the Panthers. Arizona's favored by 4.5 in Carolina.
Arizona's favored by 4.5 in Carolina. Oh, man.
Carolina got crushed last week. They were favored against the Cowboys. Got crushed at home. They're at home again.
So, Arizona comes off a bounce back. Is fresh off a little bounce back victory after a recent sort of struggle. Who'd they handle this past weekend? It was Patriots. So not a great opponent. Now they got to go across the country, play in Carolina. And Carolina was playing better.
Frisky.
And then they kind of stumbled a little.
Cowboys they're better than the bottom tier, the Cowboys.
True. I'm taking Carolina. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they're going to cover.
Okay. When the Cardinals win, they've won big.
True.
Unpredictable team of the year. They are also on this playoff push now. Panthers aren't. Kyler, Connor. What I'm realizing here with the picks is I have no idea with any of these games. I'm going to go Arizona.
Yeah.
You go Carolina?
Yeah, I'm taking Carolina.
I mean, Vegas really, it's brilliant how they set these lines. I mean, they make it so confusing.
It's probably going to be like 23 to like 14. Carolina's, they're down. It's over. But like Bryce is going to throw a touchdown with like 20 seconds left.
Yeah.
One of those kind of games where like Arizona's completely in control the whole time. They set their foot off the gas pedal a little bit in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And
like Carolina scores a late touchdown to cover. Like one of those weird things 100%. That Vegas just
100%
anticipates.
And it's funny with the 16.5 point spread with the Ravens Giants last week. After I picked the Giants, I was like, the Ravens are probably going to win 28-7, and that's exactly what happened.
You called it. You did.
Yeah. Okay. Eagles at the Commanders. Biggest game of the year for myself as a fan. We are getting 3.5 at home, so the Eagles have to win by more than a field goal to cover.
Yeah. They've won 10 in a row. Isn't that crazy? They're on a 10-game win streak.
We beat them the year they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And they're fresh off a physical game.
We beat them with Sam Howell.
Yeah, you did. I feel like, I don't know. I kind of feel like Washington's going to win. I think Philly is coming off a huge win. They're 10th in a row against a super physical opponent that can wear you down a little bit. And Washington seems to be starting to right the ship. They've won 2 in a row. They need a little revenge. I kind of like Washington in this game, but I may be a fool for picking against a team that's rolling.
I mean, it's nice that they can still lose by a field goal, and you still would win the Washington pick.
Yeah, right.
No, I think you're right.
It's tough.
we talk about divisional games being a little more wonky and close. Like, there's also rivalries. And so we got to take that into account. Like, who are the real rivalries here? In the North, it's probably the Ravens, Steelers. I mean, the Broncos. Those are like, and by rivalry, it's like, do you actually hate this other team when you're playing them? Right. I think that exists with the Commanders Eagles now.
Yeah.
The Commanders fucking hate the Eagles, I'm sure. So that locker room this week, it's like
amped.
There's a different level of like, we need to beat these guys no matter what type of energy. And because the Eagles, I mean, if they're they're securely in the 2 seed. You know, they are still fighting for a 1 seed though. That's important. That's a bye. But are they happy with a 3-point victory? Yeah. Fuck, you talking me into it. I'm going to Washington.
I feel it's a dude. They were actually so close the last time they played this year. There was a couple things that didn't go their way in the fourth quarter, and the landscape of that game would have been different. And I know, a lot of Washington fans were like totally, demoralized, and rightfully so. But it was closer than people realize.
We're just gonna. I mean, we're really weak up the middle with our rush defense. So against Barkley, that's horrible. Against Hurts, that's horrible.
Isn't Jonathan Allen back?
We're just gonna. I mean, I think so. Yeah, I don't know if it's this week. But and that will help. But we're just gonna need this otherworldly game from our linebacking core, from Wagner and Luvo. I should know these guys' names.
They got to be. You make a good point. You can't let Barkley run all over. But maybe Philly's going to be a little worn down because it was a physical game against Pittsburgh. They were beating the hell out of each other. So we'll see.
Okay.
Come on, Washington.
Let's keep going. Yeah. Whew. It's going to be intense this week. Giants at Falcons in the game that nobody asked for. What is this? Do I have 1.5 or 2.5 here? Oh, 7.5. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry, the lighting's low in the studio today. 7.5 point favorites against New York. I think DeVito's still the guy.
Yeah.
DeVito, by the way, not a horrible passer rating. 29th in the league, so I have him as 36 overall. But DeVito's better than Brissett, Bryce, Richardson, Levis. What do you got?
Isn't it Drew Lock? I thought.
Oh, is Lock there now?
I thought it was Lock, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'm not watching these games.
I understand.
I'm trying to. I got to.
Yeah, I'm all in on the Michael Penix show. I want to see him just burst out onto the scene and sling that thing and just put up some serious points and get Atlanta excited again. So I'm not going to go with my gut at all, and I'm totally going to go with like what I hope is going to happen and I want to see happen. Yeah. So I think Atlanta's going to cover. I don't think Atlanta's going to cover. I want Atlanta to cover, so that's why I'm going Falcons.
So you need an 8-point victory.
Yeah. 330 passing yards, 3 scores, one more rushing, and then everyone's going to give Penix Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait to see some stuff from Mike before I choose him. So I'll go Giants plus 7.5 on that.
That's probably the safer bet.
All right, let's cruise through these. You got to get back to work. Titans at Colts. We got minus 3.5 Colts. I guess Richardson's starting again.
Colts 24, Titans 17. Oh man, I don't know. I'm gonna take the Titans. If Levis isn't playing and they're playing Rudolph, I think Rudolph's gonna. Yeah, I'm taking Titans.
Yeah, Rudolph actually, he's at number 30 in the power ranking. So when he's played,
yeah, he's had a couple good games when he's given a shot. Okay. Even when he was with Pittsburgh, he had a couple good games when he was given a shot.
So you like the Titans?
I'm gonna take the Titans.
I'll take the Colts in that one. They gotta play better this week. Lions at Bears. Bears getting 6.5 points rather. Lions at Bears in Chicago, 6.5.
On the road, team decimated by injuries. The Bears have lost 8 in a row. Haven't played well the last 2 weeks.
I thought they were going to play the Vikings close in a divisional game. That didn't happen last week.
Yeah.
This one's at home, cold weather, banged up defense for the Lions.
I think they're going to hang around, and I feel like Detroit's going to win, but it'll be like 28-24 or something.
We mentioned it was a close matchup when they played in Detroit.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That was a crazy game. That was the game where they didn't get the ball snapped. They were like in field goal range to push to OT, and they just let like 20 seconds run off the clock. Yeah, something. It was bad. And then Eberflus was bye-bye the next day. I'm taking Chi-Town.
I'll take Detroit with that offense to win by a touchdown. More cursed years, Chicago or San Francisco?
San Francisco. It's got to be. You think about the expectations, just based on expectations.
We have not talked about the Niners.
Yeah.
This is an hour and a half pod. We have not talked about them once.
I know, man. Man, what tough.
I'm just glad you didn't walk out at the 40-minute mark. We didn't talk about that. I was going to leave the pod with that.
See ya. Hope he never plays in the league again.
Oh, the lack of words on the Niners this week is funny. Rams at Jets. Rams favored. Look at me. I have good eyesight, I promise. Lighting. Favored by 3.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jets, dude.
I'm taking the Jets as well. I think they can win outright. Vikings at the Seahawks. Seahawks getting 3.5. Minnesota coming into Seattle. Just like Green Bay went into Seattle last week. I took the 2.5, and that didn't work out. Vikings, 3.5 in Seattle.
I think their defense is going to give Geno a lot of trouble. Minnesota's defense is nasty.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think, and obviously their offense is high-powered enough to make it happen. Darnold's got a ton of weapons. He's playing well. The run game's there. Jones is doing his thing. They're so well-rounded right now, man. I don't see how they don't cover and win. I feel like Minnesota's got it.
I will take Minnesota as well. I think the Seahawks are going to implode. Patriots getting 14.5 in Buffalo. Might be a snow. I don't know how the weather is. A little snow game action. Is Buffalo going to beat them by more than 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, dude. Yes. I'm taking Buffalo.
Is it a chill week for Buffalo?
It could be coming off a big win.
The last 2 weeks are fucking brutal. They scored 87 points or something.
Yeah. It's a chill week until you look into the mind of the demon known as Josh Allen, who's like, I got MVP to go get. And I just think they're going to ride him, and he's unstoppable. He's absolutely unstoppable. So it's going to be like 39 to like 14.
Divisional game, these two teams, let's not forget that these are rivals too. The Bills are used to the Patriots just keeping them out of the fray for the last 20 years.
True.
After the Bills were that dominant team in the AFC.
Brady owns Buffalo.
I think like with the Commanders-Eagles game, we see kind of a heightened intensity from the Patriots for this game. They really show up. May has a lot to prove. He's going against kind of the guy in the AFC.
Could see it. Take him.
I'll take him. I'm so bad at this.
No, you made some good points, bro. I don't think you're bad at it.
No, it's just funny. You could talk yourself into either way.
You sure can, right?
Dolphins favored by 1.5 hosting the Niners. Niners still getting a lot of love from Vegas. 1.5 only. They're saying the Niners are better than the Dolphins because that 3-point barometer is kind of the even keel for a home team to be getting or giving 3.
Yeah, Niners show some fight. It's a long trip, disappointing home loss. They've had rest, a few extra days, considering that they played the Rams Thursday. I think that helps. I feel like Tua in recent years has had trouble when they've played. I think the Niners ran roughshod on him a few years ago, or maybe last year. I feel like it's going to be. I don't know. I feel like the Niners may get this one, but it's hard to pick them.
1.5.
How things are going.
They can lose by 1. You still get the bet.
Yeah. 26-23 San Francisco.
Okay, you're going Frisco. I am going Miami to win by 2 against the Niners. Sure. Niners. It's not their year. Jacksonville in Vegas. We're still in the Sunday games. Jacksonville getting 1.5 in Vegas. We don't really care about this game. What do you got?
Is this battle of the first pick? Battle for the first pick?
Ooh, I like it. Vegas has one more loss than Jacksonville.
So, yeah, this might end up deciding who gets the first overall pick. That means it's when to lose. So, who is the winner by losing? Give me the Raiders.
Well, but you're taking the Raiders?
I'm taking Jacksonville.
Yeah, same. Okay. All right. final or Sunday night game, Tampa in Dallas. I do not know why Dallas is on prime time, but Tampa's getting 3.5.
Tampa.
What the verbiage is there. Is Dallas getting 3.5? Yeah, they're getting points. Okay.
Yes.
Dallas getting 3.5.
Yeah, that always confuses me too.
Yeah, I'll figure that out. You said Tampa?
Yeah, I think Dallas did some good things in beating the Panthers last week, but I like Baker. I like Evans is back, just roasting DBs.
Yeah, we're going to be reminded that the Cowboys have had a shit year this week. Monday night game, New Orleans at Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 14.5.
14.
I think we're going to see is it Rattler or Ritter? Ritter's Vegas. Rattler's the Saints guy that came in the second half last week.
He is, and he played like decent.
Yeah. 14.
I think it's too big of a spread for me.
Yeah.
But if it's snowing and Green Bay's just like, cool, we have Josh Jacobs and a big offensive line. It could go either way. It's hard. I feel like Green Bay's definitely going to win. Just by how much?
14.5.
I'll take the Saints. I think, if it is snowy, they got Kamara, man. He's a beast.
Yeah.
So they can also run the ball or get it out to him in space somehow.
I think it's just going to be like 21-3 and then 28-10. I'll take the Packers on that one.
Okay. I can see it.
All
I think
right,
we're pretty much like opposite on every pick this week.
Yeah, it's fun. I have some ground to make up. All right, AC Sports podcast on YouTube. Check us out there. Ahlswede Collection on Instagram. We got Run Ross Run on TikTok and Instagram. If you want to see my personals at Derek Ahlswede. Final thoughts going into week 16. Good pod today, hour and 36.
Go vote for Rigoberto Sanchez to make the Pro Bowl.
Woo! Hamilton high!
The pride of Hamilton has had a phenomenal year punting for the Colts. It'd be so cool to send that guy to the Pro Bowl. He deserves it.
Love that. Love that note. Go Commanders. Beat Philadelphia. I'm going to be a mess this week.